Hey, welcome to the Art of Relationship show. I missed last Wednesday night, allergy attack and everything else. So I didn't do the show. So I'm back, absolutely back live tonight with the Art of Relationship show. And got a hot, exciting topic going on tonight. As always, I tell people all the time, you know what? We can ask your questions, right? It's a live Q&A show. Absolutely. Doesn't have to deal with the topic at hand. And we're going to be talking about imperfect sex. Absolutely. And are you spoiling your lover? And I'm going to have a little twist on that. And I'm not talking a little twist of the nipples unless you're into that, okay? But I want you to be able to sit back, relax. And also, you know what? While you're sitting back relaxing, and hopefully learning to have an incredible relationship or marriage, or if you're single, right? And you enjoy that, to promote self love and self respect, right? So, we're going to be talking about imperfect sex, and get your questions ready for live Q&A, which is throughout the whole Art of Relationship show. So, don't go anywhere. We're going to kick it off in just a few seconds. Okay, and we're back. Okay, little intro there. Hopefully everybody's joining in. Share the video if you can on your timeline, on your page, wherever you're watching the Art of Relationship show tonight. Share it. I want to get as many people involved and make a lively, lively evening tonight. Now, for a lot of people that don't know, that are new, never watched the show before, I always introduce myself. Excuse me. I'm Greg Dudzinski, fully licensed professional counselor here in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. And I'm a relationship sex specialist. Been doing this for over 2 decades now. Yes, I'm legit. I try to help as many people out there as possible. And I have a lot of grief and trauma experience too. I've always done relationship. I've always done, marriage, sex counseling forever. And I also specialize in a lot of trauma, a lot of grief situations. I used to also specialize in severe trauma, sexual trauma in kids, teens, that type of stuff. But I no longer work with kids. It's been actually quite a few years. So join in, throw your questions down in the chat, people, and I'll do the best I can to answer them, okay? So I'm going to talk about what happens if you have an imperfect episode of knocking boots, making sweet love, right? What happens, right? If people are looking for just a one night stand, they might not even, whatever, right? It was a waste. So, but in relationships, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, eyes rolling in the back of your head. It's not your toes curling all the time. We would love that. For some people, it is phenomenal. For some people, it isn't. There's going to be mishaps. There's going to be where maybe you're overly tired. You might be stressed. You might be maybe not really feeling all that great, and the episode just goes. Maybe you're feeling great, excited, and maybe he doesn't get erect. But can he also finish her off manually, orally, fingers, toys, that type of situations? So that's where I want people to realize that, not every episode is going to be perfect. Not at all. But I want you to be able to realize and, understand, what do you do if it isn't? I have a lot of couples over the years and currently now, allergies kicking a little bit as usual. So, where one episode, they're getting hot and heavy, and maybe the gentleman experiences erection challenges, right? Maybe they can't get up, and now she's pissed, she's upset, and she'll start bashing, belittle the guy. Oh, you're not attracted to me, you're not a man. And I'm like, what? and I hear this all the time, unfortunately. And what happens is, they'll belittle their man, they'll belittle this, just call them names, whatever, because they're afraid it reflects them. Let's be honest, right? The insecurities on the lady, where I'm not pretty enough, you don't desire me anymore, you don't love me, you don't find me sexy, you don't find me attractive, those type of situations. That's why you weren't able to get hard or get erect. And it might be just stress. It might be just one of those things, right? Instead of that, can you still take it like, oh, no big deal? And we can caress, we can hold each other, we can kiss each other. Maybe he can take care of you, and maybe he'll get erect later on, right? That's a possibility. But a lot of people, a lot of women feel very insecure, and they'll bash the gentleman if that happens, right? Or a lot of men, right? They might feel a certain way if the lady doesn't reach hers, is not fully fulfilled, doesn't reach orgasm, and then the guy feels a certain way, right? He's not man enough, not all this aspect, right? Same thing if he happens to lose an erection, doesn't get hard, I'm not man enough. And all of a sudden, we have performance anxiety issues, not just ladies, right? That's where I want people to be able to look at, what is happening and how do you connect with each other. And instead of bashing each other, ripping, going through all the insecurities through issues with sex or imperfect intimacy, that you can sort of just learn from it, right? And if it is an ongoing issue, what do you do to work together as a team and partners and talk to one another? Not bash, not belittle, because the more you bash, the more you belittle, what happens, right? It creates more pressure, it creates more insecurities, and it makes things even worse. And I deal with couples in this situation as well. So that's where I want people to be able to look at, what is happening, what is going on, and are you able to understand, what? It happens, right? There might be, it wasn't all that great of a sexual experience today, tonight, whatever. And are you able to still love each other? You still desire each other. Now, if issues continue, and a lot of people get in your head, right? A lot of people will get in your head, like I said, the insecurities, the maybe bashing each other, all those aspects. I need to be perfect, I need this, and it creates so much pressure. Maybe body image aspects get in the way, right? That they will cause you to think maybe on your head instead of enjoying the moment. Okay, now, like I mentioned before, throw your questions in the chat down below or sideways up above, wherever you're listening or paying attention to it. That's where I want, throw your questions out. It doesn't have to relate to the subject matter, okay? And later on, I'm going to be talking about, are you spoiling your lover? And it's a little twist, if you will. And it might be a little bit what you think it is, but it might not be. So pay attention to that. Don't go anywhere. And throw your questions out there. And again, please throw, I can't, I got a brain fart. Sorry. I own it, right? But you look at what is going on with those situations, and I want you to be able to, share the video on your timeline, get as many people involved, those type of situations, okay? So please throw your questions down below. I don't accept live chats, whatever, to join the show live, for the reason there's, unfortunately, if you look through the TikTok threads, a lot of spammers, a lot of maybe people, they might be teenagers, they might be, joking around, poking fun, that type of situation. So that's why I want to rule that out at this point. So that's why I have. Throw your questions down below. I'll leave your name anonymous if, that's what you prefer, okay? Just let me know and what's going on. D-Rock, what's happening going on Instagram? And a huge, thank you for joining the show, that type of situations, okay? So that's where I want people. And I just mentioned I want people to be able to understand that I'm not going to accept people in the live chat, or I'm sorry, in the live to bring them on the show live video, because they might be spam. They might be, people unfortunately like to play immature games, bash, whatever, right? And that's not the format. I want to help people out, as many people as possible out there, to promote love, promote intimacy, to promote safety in a relationship, to be able to understand, to be able to um, create a greater connection in your relationship, in your um, marriage. And also, let's face it, the dating world out there is tough for a lot of people, right? And to help you maybe find the love of your life and also promote self love and self respect. So, if you look at what has happened in your past, what has happened, and if the sex wasn't all that great, how did you react? Did you get defensive? Did you feel embarrassed? Did you feel, maybe pissed off? Did you feel angry? And are you able to work through that? Or did you let that keep building and building and building? Okay. So that's where I want people to understand. That's where I want people to look at. How do you handle it? How do you, do you try to reach for your partner, or are you fighting? Are you bashing? And we can talk about compatibility when it comes in the sexual aspect. If one person, you want to try something new, you want to, maybe try to improve and try to look at these situations to grow and become more compatible if possible. But that's where a lot of people might have a hard time and look at, you know what, that's bad. I'm not doing that. Some people can't even talk about improving their sex life, to improve that satisfaction and fulfillment on the emotional, mental, and physical levels because of insecurities pop up, right? Because of, I talk about body issues aspects. Some people can't get in their head. And it's even more difficult when, like I said, many, many times again, how many people will look at that, after, say, their partner cheated and trying to be intimate again and being more in your head and try to heal those elements. And these are facts, people. This is, let's face it, what I work with on a daily basis. And I'm not perfect, not at all, but I try to help people heal from this and to become more confident, more assured, and definitely, more fulfilled sexually, intimately on these levels. So that's where I want people to be able to look at and to be able to, handle maybe insights. Hey, I'd like you to do this more. Hey, I'd like it to do, what? It was okay. And some people, what do you mean okay? And they'll feel insecure. They'll start flipping the script, right? They'll go tit for tat. They'll start bashing one another. What do you mean it was okay? What do you mean I wasn't good? All those insecurities come out in anger instead of, can you say, man, what could we have done better? What could I have done better? How many people have asked that, but how many people will not ask that because of their own insecurities, that they'll bash their partner? They'll try to hurt their partner, right? Because they might feel a certain way, and that's only going to create a further mess. And a lot of people have been in that situation where I don't want, that to continue. I want that to be able to heal. I want you to work together as a team, those type of situations. Okay. Now, someone mentioned I had an experience where what I was doing wasn't working. We had a prior weekend where he didn't orgasm either. I wish I had that problem. Oh, wait. so, so a month later, same thing, but he started, whatever, taking care of himself in front of me. I stopped him. I apologized the next day for stopping him, realizing it was my insecurity. But he insisted it wasn't me. I feel he wasn't being honest or upfront with me about possible existing issues, right? I admit I really didn't know him long. My issue with rushing into things. Now, a lot of things, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I appreciate it. It's not easy dealing with these aspects. And that's where I want to give people their own permission to be able to look at you know what? To embrace their insecurities, to own their insecurities. Hey, I'm afraid I might not be great at this, but I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to evolve. And that's where people, wherever, I want people to grow and to become, maybe better at it. What can I do to become a better lover for you, to be better intimately, to have a emotional connection? Some people have a hard time emotionally connecting during sex, and it's just physical. And the other one might be, physical is great, but then they're feeling empty because that emotional mental connection is not there. And their partner, or maybe them, they have no idea, what they even mean by that, right? I thought we're emotionally connected. The eye to eye contact. Maybe it's the verbal appreciation. I love you. I love touching you, tasting you. I love caressing you. I love your skin. Whatever. I love your contours. Those type of situations, to try to improve when imperfect sex happens, to be able to, normalize it, to be able to say, okay, what's going on? And a lot of people, like going back to the one viewer, mention about insecurities, and sometimes one person might take care of himself, or maybe the lady can say, hey, let me get you hard, or try to get you hard, and you get in your head, right? And I mentioned on prior episodes, early ejaculation, right? And there's also delayed ejaculation, which mentioned that if a man does not come, right, doesn't have an orgasm, the women will flip out thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive enough, he is bored with me, all these aspects. And it also could be insecurities, it could be performance issues on the guy as well, right? Thinking, oh, if I don't come, she's going to be upset. And we get in our head, right? Like I said, I wish I had that issue, but going after those elements to learn from each other and to be able to make it safe to talk about these aspects. But when it comes into, sexuality, man, a lot of people are very insecure with a lot of aspects, right? Men, women, men might not admit it. They might hide it. They might bash the women, what's going on, and women bash men. I don't want the bashing. I'm all about you learning and exploring and talking with one another. I don't want the argument, the bashing, and then you're in my office, right? That's where I want people to feel, hey, what would the fulfilling sex mean for you? There I go, tripping over my tongue again. What would fulfilling sex mean for you out there listening, right? What would it mean mentally, emotionally, physically, definitely physically, right? What does that even look like, and what does that mean, okay? I don't know what to do with myself anymore. I just want to be able to be with you. Okay. So, but if you want to be with your partner, do you say that? And are you able to convert that with your partner and say that? If something goes sideways, can we, it's not maybe a satisfying sexual experience, that you can hold each other, you can caress each other. The first thing is, being able to talk about it and not blow it up into a thing that just evolves, and not in a good way. It's those habits that pop in, and the insecurities get in our head. We start thinking too much, and now we don't know what to do. We tense up, right? And women, what happens if you tense up, right? Penetration is very difficult, right? You tense up, it can hurt. You don't get lubrication adequately enough. So what happens is, it spirals out of control, and then your desire, both men and women, you sort of distance each other, don't even talk about it because of those fears, instead of evolving and growing together and saying, hey, what can we do? I'm thinking this, you're thinking that. Tell me what you are afraid of. Ehab, my Cairo, Egypt buddy, what's going on? Ehab, what's happening, man? I hope everything's going smooth. I know it's been a while since we spoke. So when you look at these elements and explore this, I want you to be able to look at and ask, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of talking about this stuff? What am I afraid of if sex is not perfect one time? Okay. Now, if there are issues that are going on that are creating that, past traumas, rape survivors, right? I mentioned earlier, healing after an affair, what goes on to be able to build that up. And the partner that cheated, right, is wondering, oh, how come you don't want to have sex with me anymore? Or how come you're with, well, duh, right? They're hurt. They're afraid they're gonna give in again. And you be intimate, you have my heart, so you're gonna do it again. So there has to be some work on that and understanding your role in those situations and what you can do to heal from that and help your partner heal, to be emotionally supportive, physically supportive, and understanding when it comes into that. Okay. So that's where I want people to look at when there's a mishap, that you own it. Oops. Some people laugh about, oh my God, yeah, I can't believe that happened. Laugh about it. Maybe joke around, be playful about it. And before you know, maybe you can reconnect. And maybe a few minutes later, you can have an enjoyable sexual experience. Now, if it goes on, on and on and on, and what happens, then you might seek, give me a call, right? Check out my website, theartofrelationships.org. Should be in the profiles above. But, that's where the first thing is to look at, what? Can I just laugh it off? Can we joke it off? Oh man, I must have been tired. I was off my game tonight. That type of situation. Instead of making it's an all-time thing. Now, there are other aspects if sex life is not fulfilling, right? If there's imperfect sex, there are other aspects that are going around. And that's where I want people to fight through and look at, it might not, it just insecurities, right? Health issues, bad backs, let's face it, okay? So not only with the bad backs, but there's prostrate issues, maybe with gentlemen, maybe there's medication issues, hormone issues, maybe there's medical concerns that are going around that you might not even think about. Just mentioned rheumatoid arthritis is another one where a pain is going on. Maybe someone had a car accident and they're maybe had a broken hip and leg and pelvis from the car accident, and it makes it even more it makes it difficult. And that's where I tell people to be able to talk with each other and own it. Hey, I'm afraid this might hurt. We haven't done this in a while. This might hurt. But own that. You know what? I know it might be tense. Just please go slow. There's things that can be done, and that's all part of making your partner and your partner making you feel safe, being able to talk about these aspects. Okay. It's part of life. But a lot of people will, they'll bash each other. They'll, withdraw because of their own insecurities. If your partner says, hey, you know what, I'd rather have this, or, yeah, that was okay, but you know what, I'd like it better, whatever it is, oral sex, whatever, right? And how many people will start bashing and calling their partner mean for being honest? Now, there is a difference between being open and honest. Hey, I'd like this more, than people calling names, bashing each other. You're not a real man. Man, you're not a woman. And I've had followers all over the place on years that will bash, to belittle, to degrade their partner to make them feel good, like a power thing going on, or they're just assholes, okay? And that goes for women, it goes for men. And that is not going to be fulfilling. And then they're wondering why their partner cheated on them. They're wondering why their partner wants nothing to do with them, because you're freaking mean, right? You're degrading, you're belittling, but you won't even look at yourself. You'll blame everybody else for how you are and how you respond to things. It's everybody else's fault, right? No. But especially when it comes into, sex, and how many people have a lot of issues, right? And I want you to be more confident. I want you to be more self assured. And number one is looking at your insecurities. Number two is, you know what would it take for you to be more open, be more vulnerable, and talk about what you like, what you don't like, maybe what your hangups are, maybe what your insecurities are, to be able to talk about it. And you're afraid, I get that someone's going to throw it in your face, use it against you. I tell people been losing, or losing, listening to the show for a long time, where a lot of people will, you know what? They know I'm a realist. This is me, right? I'm really no different than I am with clients than I am here. That be able to look at, you know what am I afraid of? Address it, own it. Okay. Maybe I'm not, being a man, I'm not big enough. Maybe I won't last long enough. Own it. Maybe, body image. Maybe she's worried about a fat roll. Maybe he's worried about a fat roll. Maybe I'm worried about comparing to prior lovers, right? Maybe I'm compared to that type of situation. We all get in our head, men and women, but it's like, hey, you know what? I want to learn, especially with like a new partner. It might not be great at first, right? There might be some foundation aspects of connection, right? But that's where I want people to be able to learn and grow and look at, hey, that wasn't great. I know I was nervous. We were both nervous, tense, that type of situation. But now what do we do? Can we work through that? And can we own it? Can we even mention it and talk about it? Okay. So not only, a lot of people look at sexual aspects with dissatisfaction, it's a lot of the mental, a lot of the emotional aspects. And that's where I want people to be able to learn, to be able to grow, and to be able to become more fulfilled. And it's still a reality that long-term relationships usually have the best sex. Usually, not always. There's always, exceptions to those rules, okay? So people, where are your questions at? Throw them out there. What questions do you have? Hit me up. So that's, about, sexual insecurities. I get that. Imperfect sex. Like I mentioned in the title of tonight's show, of the Art of Relationship show, it's going to happen. It's how you understand stuff, how you normalize things. It's going to happen, right? To be able to learn, to be able to grow from it. And like I mentioned probably a couple episodes ago, a lot of people look at that, they might self-pleasure masturbate because it's no pressure. And you can check that, YouTube's usually at LoveGuruGreg. YouTube is probably the easiest to check out all the past show episodes and stuff about when I talked about that, and looking at, that some people rather self-pleasure because it could be performance issues, performance anxiety. There's no stress in being hard enough, lasting long enough, lasting too long. Body image aspects, right? Comparing those type of situations. I don't want that. I want people to be able to be more open and vulnerable, and also have fun as well with your partner when it comes into sex. You can have fun. You can have the playfulness, right? You can also have the rip each other's clothes off, throw each other up against the wall, mixed with the eye-to-eye emotional contact with the heartbeat and breathing together, those type of elements. And you can also have the sensual aspect, the slower, the more gentle. You can have all that repertoire working up, and it depends, of course, how you communicate with each other. And I'm going to be honest. Is there such a thing as sexual incompatibility? Absolutely. Styles, frequency, one person loves oral sex, the other person hates it, thinks it's gross. Those probably shouldn't be together, right? Now, if one person thinks it is very important, and the other one is it's gross, whatever, they're incompatible. Right? And you have people even in this field, oh, you can compromise, you can whatever. And we can look at, why do you think it's gross? What are your thoughts about it? What have you heard about it? We can do all that. But when it comes down to that person just isn't that way, so be it. That's okay. It just doesn't mean they are going to be compatible together, right? And there's a lot of people out there, right? Sex isn't everything. No, it's not everything in a relationship, right? However, let's look at what is the difference between friendship and lovers, romantic interest, marriage, living together, romantic partners, right? It's the sexual intimacy, it's the connection, it's the caressing, it's the physical element, right? It's that vibe, that chemistry in a romantic way together. Now, if two people want to live as roommates and sex is not a big deal to them, they could care less about it, that's okay. Again, I don't bash. It's not my life, it's your life, but you're looking at compatibility and to be able to talk about it and be able what you want. I've had, couples, they've been married 43 years, 53 years, 1 year, 5 year, all over the place, okay? And they both feel the same way about wanting to improve their sex life. He's thinking she don't want to talk about it. She's thinking he don't want to talk about it, and they never talk about it. And they go on this way for years, people. That's sad to me. Like I said, I care about people. I want to help people, and it's sad. And I look at those insecurities. What are you afraid of to bring up? Hey, I'd like this better. I'd like this more. Um, Fear of being bashed, fear of being ridiculed, thinking that they're stupid, right? Or being rejected, not cared about, not loved, not desired, all those aspects. So we keep quiet, right? We're all, I'm not even going to go after it. But I want people to fight through those insecurities. And I want people, hey, Alana, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. So I want people to be able to understand and grow and ask those questions, communicate with one another. And a lot of people, I get it. It's not easy. They're afraid to take those risks to talk about, hey, you know what? Sex wasn't all that great. It hasn't been all that great. Man, I'd like to make it better. What can we do? And again, the assumptions, right? I talked about a client this evening, a couple this evening, about assumptions and assuming one is feeling this way, the other one's feeling that way, but they never ask, right? They never ask, hey, would you like this? What do you think our sex life is like? Because they don't want to hear, it's not all that great. Our sex life sort of sucks, right? Now, I'm not talking in a good way, right? I'm talking in more of a, open, a sincere and open and vulnerable way. Hey, what can we do to, kick it up a notch? What can we do to be more connected? Those type of situations to be able to grow and become more connected physically, emotionally, and mentally, right? Go after it. Fight through those insecurities. And you know what? You're going to start seeing your sex life hopefully improve, get more connected on that way. Maybe have more fun, more emotional, deep connection as well. Because all those insecurities, right? The performance aspects, the comparing to other people, they get in our head. And with those in your head, how can you be fully present in the moment when you are intimate with your partner? Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about, switch gears a little bit. And again, throw out your questions up above, down below, wherever you're listening. And I want to do the best I can to answer them. Okay. So when I ask people all the time, right? In couples, right? Hey, do you spoil each other? And I'm not, some people want to be spoiled. They're bougie, right? Materialistic ways. I'm looking at what ways do you want to be spoiled in your relationship, and do you spoil your partner? And it's sort of ironic how many times I get where, yeah, I spoil my partner. We're talking emotionally, mentally, maybe physically, right? And their partner is sitting next to him in my office, and they're like rolling their eye. They're like rolling their eyes. They're like shaking their head, and their partner doesn't see it. They're shaking their head. No, not at all. I don't feel spoiled. I don't feel this way. are you even asking what your partner needs to feel spoiled? To feel loved, to feel appreciated, right? Because a lot of times what happens is, right? Oh, I'm spoiling him, I'm spoiling her, I'm doing this and that and that. And their partner doesn't even need that, could care less about it. They might appreciate it, but that's not what they really need to feel spoiled. So ask your partner, ask your person, hey, what can I do to spoil you more? It could be rubbing feet. It could be, giving each other a foot bath, right? Maybe taking baths together, not bubble baths, lady, right? Because ladies, bubble baths will throw off your pH balance. So you got to be careful. I know women love bubble baths, some men do too, but it throws off your pH balance in your vaginal canal, right? So, and bladder issue, all that aspect. So, um, maybe it's taking a bath together. Maybe it's spending time together. You feel spoiled that way. Maybe it's watching a movie. Everybody's different, right? So you have to be able to look at what is going on and how are you able to spoil one another. Ask your partner, hey, how can I spoil you from time to time? Hey, man, long time no see. Yeah, same time, Sheldon. I hope you're doing well, man. I appreciate you popping back up. It's been a minute. So I hope I hope world's doing great for you, man. What else? So make sure you, again, throw your questions down below. I know I'm a broken record. I don't know if people are, I know a lot of people, especially in Southeast Michigan, actually around my home, I'm in my home now, around my office in Southfield, a lot of people are without power, without internet. So maybe there's a lot of people that aren't able to watch and or listen live. Like I said, even if you have questions, that's okay. You missed the live episode. Still throw your questions right in the comment section on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever. That I'll get to them. I need to do a better job, honestly, to try to pay attention when I get messages, and I'll respond to you and try to do the best I can to help you out. Okay, so throw your questions out there. When you look at spoiling your partner, and this is not, a lot of people look at, oh, I'm going to spoil them on their birthday, on their anniversary, those situations, right? I get that. But I'm talking about, what do you do to spoil your partner maybe every day? Doesn't have to be exaggerated. It doesn't have to be an extreme. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be a bougie situation. It can be little things. Maybe just a hug, a kiss. Hey, you know what? I love you. You know what? Hey, let me run a bath for you. You know what? Let me rub your back. Let me rub your butt. Whatever, whatever it is. You know what? Instead of you taking the trash out, let me take it out for you. It could be little gestures that make your partner feel spoiled. And yeah, you have the spoiled going on a trip, going to maybe a fancy dinner if you're into that, going wherever, right? Doing certain situations. You can have those, but I'm talking, a lot of people look at, it's got to be a birthday, it's got to be an anniversary, a special occasion, Valentine's Day, for them to be spoiled. But what happens in between those holidays? What happens in between those special days? Are you spoiling each other throughout the year? Little things, little things can make a big difference, because a lot of people, a lot of couples in my office, I hear consistently that I don't feel loved. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel important. We don't spend time together. He doesn't even touch me anymore. Doesn't even want to have sex anymore. And we talked about, right, imperfect sex earlier. And they're afraid to go after it. They're afraid to bring it up. But what they'll do, they'll bash each other. They'll rip each other. They'll criticize each other for other things, right? Because they don't feel spoiled. They don't feel special. They don't feel those aspects, okay? So that's where I want people to join in and jump in. to look at, hey, what can I do to make you feel spoiled, to make you feel more loved, to make you feel more special, to make you feel like I choose to be with you every day. Is that impossible? We all have bad days, right? I told you I'm human. I'm a realist. We're going to have bad days, but we'll say more days than not. And are you asking your partner what can be done? And when was the last time maybe your partner even asked you? So you can bring that up, right? Hey, you know what? Did you ever ask me, or when was the last time you asked me what I need to feel loved? Everybody assumes, right? Your partner should know. Or what worked, when you first met still works 20 years later. It could change, right? It could change. But be open to that. Talk about it. Those type of situations, okay? What's your opinion on being in a relationship for a while, but you think of someone else with no intention of cheating? Now, okay, that's cool. I think, let's face it, I think it happens from time to time. It's one of those things that for some people, I don't even think about someone else, but from some time to some time, I think it's normal for a lot of people to think about an ex, to think about, you know what, maybe I could have done this differently. Not that you want to cheat or be with that person. It's just like thinking of back in the high school days, back in, college days, or where you had this job, those type of situations. I think it's almost impossible not to think of an ex from once in a while. I'm not saying you want to, not at all. So I think it's normal where it becomes a problem or problematic, right? Where the thoughts turn into, oh, you know what? I really want to talk to them. I really want to be with them, right? It's harmless. I'll just reach out on whatever, Facebook. I'll reach out on this way. Hey, Cassie. Hey, what's up? So that's where those issues come into play, right? Where, you know what, even if, oh, I'm never going to cheat, but then you're looking at, are you reaching out to that person, right? Texting, calling, oh, we'll just meet up for lunch. No harm in that. That's an issue. Other than that, I think it's normal from time to time, right? Reminiscing, reflecting back. And I get you. That doesn't mean you want to be with that person. Some people do, right? And that's a whole nother issue. I look at it, what problems does it create for your current relationship? What problems does it create for your marriage, right? That's where I look at, and that's where I ask people to look at. Is it causing problems? Emotionally connecting, mentally connecting, physically or sexually connecting with your partner? If it's causing problems, then maybe talking to someone about that to try to work through all that. And a lot of people, what if I did this? What if this happened? What if that happened? It can be problematic. So that's where I look at. I think most of us, let's face it, think about an ex, think about this from time to time. An experience we had, you shared. I think it's human nature too. It's when we obsess about it, and those thoughts are like an everyday basis, and it creates us maybe obsess over that individual, or it creates an issue where it's blocking us from connecting with our current partner. Then that's an issue. Okay. So I hope that answered your question. I hope that helped. Okay. I know I need emotional connection to have the best sexual experience. Oh, I think a lot. I'm the same. I'm a man, and I think that too. Absolutely. It's like I said. I talk about this a lot. Okay, I look at mind, body, heart, and soul. Okay, I look at that connection, right? Mind, body, heart, and soul, and that when you have that together, mostly what's going to happen is that you're going to feel more open, more vulnerable when you feel safe with each other, emotionally, mentally, physically. That's when you have the best sex. Let's be honest, okay? So, do you have a timeline as to how long one should wait? I know it varies depending how often we see each other talk, quality of talk. My experience, guys don't want to wait. I hate to tell you this, there's women that don't want to wait either, okay? So it's not just men. They want to find out right away if there's sexual compatibility, or else they're just looking for that hookup. Now, there's a difference, and that's great. And I don't want anybody and people listening to the show that know me, clients, whatever. I'm not about people leading somebody on, being dishonest with somebody when they only want a hookup and they're telling people, "Oh, I want a long-term relationship. I want marriage. I want those type of situations," and they have no intention. They're lying. They're misrepresenting themselves. They're fake. They're fraudulent. Or some people just looking for a hookup, and then they find out that person finds out that person actually is in a relationship or they're married. Right? Hell no. That's being a boy. That's being a girl. That's not being a man or a woman. That's being immature. Let's be real. Okay? So, some relationship experts, are you throwing me under the bus? Have a 90-day rule. Some day it's okay to do first. Some days it's okay to do first. I agree. If people have heard me before on social media, doing the show, those situations, okay? I am sex positive. If people want to have sex on the first date, do it. Okay? If people want to wait, 90 days, 6 months, but you better be open and honest about it. But that other person might not want to be that way. I look at it whenever you're ready, there's no coercion, no manipulation, no guilt trip, no forcing. Hell no. It's when both people are adults, both people are consenting to it. Then have it on the first date if that's what you want. There's some people out there, and I'm gonna bash people, and I've said this before, that some people, religious groups, oh, you need to wait until you get married. No, don't do that, because what happens if you're married and you're not sexually compatible? So I tell people, why not find out earlier? You might be looking for a relationship, find, a great connection emotionally, mentally, but then sexually you're just not. So you're together for 6 months, and then you find out 6 months later you're not sexually compatible. You just wasted each other's time. You get me? So again, if both people want that, fine, that's great. If both people want a waiting period, if it works for them, terrific. I have no problem with people having sex on the first date, okay? If they want to and it's consensual, they're both in the mood, no big deal. I'm sex positive. I do not want anyone having sex against their will. They feel pressured into it, guilt tripped into it, manipulated into it. No, not at all. I want it to, it's got to be consent. I have a handout I give to clients in my office as part of whatever professional disclosure statement stuff. I call it sexual truths about you own your body. You get to do what you want with it, and it's about consent. Okay, so there is no issue about people having sex on the first date. You have people that will bash, that will rip each other apart. And I talked about this, I actually had a discussion about this last week, couple weeks ago, on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all over the place, even LinkedIn, about this very subject. So when it comes into these aspects, that's where I want people to understand. If you want to have sex, have sex. Be safe, be protected, that type of about hygiene, right? Excuse me. Ooh. Coughing. Sorry about that, people. But I want people to be safe. I don't want people to, oh, you know what? I have a STD or STI, and all of a sudden you're withholding that, and then you have sex with somebody else without them even knowing it, right? that is assault. Let's face it, it's physical assault to do bodily harm less than murder. And sometimes, right, depending what you have. So you got to be open, you got to be transparent about that, you know. So be safe, be open and honest. And we know sadly people lie, right? So you can, and trust takes time. Let's face it, right? So as long as you're safe and whatever, have it out. I tell people, I work with, I'm monogamous, one on one. That's me. That's, you know, what I am. I work with swingers. I work with people, open relationships. I work with poly situations, right? I work with all kind, bisexual people. I work with all kind of couples. I don't judge. I'm sex positive, but I'm looking at, you know, what are the rules for themselves as an individual? What are your boundaries? What are your, you know, that type of situation that you're promoting self-love and self-respect. But I'm also, you know, looking at, you know, whatever their rules or boundaries are, if they're swingers, if they're swapping couples, you know, poly situations, if they're in an open relationship. Oh, excuse me. I'm not sneezing, I'm coughing. Um, Sorry about that, people. Good old allergies. But those are situations where I want you to be open and hey, you know what? Whenever you're ready to have sex, have sex. There's people, I'm going to wait 90 days. If that's what you want, terrific. Um, but if somebody, you know, if you're exclusive with each other, that type of situation, whatever. Oh yeah, we can. And there's some people we can date for, you know, 90 days or date for 6 months, but I'm not going to be exclusive with you. They can say that, right? And the other one is hurt. Well, you don't really like me, love me, respect me. It might not have anything to do with that. It might have to do with their own, what they value themselves. It might have something to do with their own self love, self respect, and how they choose to live their life. That doesn't mean they don't like you, they don't respect you. It just doesn't mean that they don't follow the same maybe value that you do, and it doesn't make them a bad person. Not at all. It's about, again, that compatibility, okay? Excuse me. So I appreciate everybody joining on the questions. Thank you so much. Namaste, right? Um, Check out my website, theartofrelationships.org. Follow me. I'm so happy, so flattered, and humbled that you're spending your time watching the show, viewing the show, even not the live if you watch any recorded episodes. It takes your time, and your time is very valuable. And I'll never, never take that for granted. So I appreciate it and thank you very much. Okay. Again, theartofrelationships.org is my website. Like, follow me. I'd be flattered at LoveGuruGreg. Everybody have a good night. Be safe out there. And those that have endured the storms that just hit yesterday in southeastern Michigan, be safe out there. Okay. I want people to be able to, you know, I know out of power and how hot it is, no AC, no power, period, right? So some people, I know some people had water main breaks because of the storm and everything else, so they don't have water. It's dirty. They can't even take a bath because it's gross looking. So my best wishes out there, okay? So any questions, hit me up. Send me a direct message, private message, email me, go to my website. You can send me a contact on there. Anything I can do to help you have a great, fantastic relationship, marriage, sex life, and also help promote you increasing your self love, self worth, decreasing those insecurities, and also you being true to yourself and how you want to live your life. Okay. So, peace and love to everybody out there. Take care. Everybody have a good night. Be safe. Peace and love. Bye bye.